You have a great sense of responsibility for telling a real life story, and it gives you confidence and a feeling of connection with the history when you can have the actors walk in and tread the floorboards of Oppenheimer's real house at Los Alamos.
8, 7, 6, 5.
Christopher, very impressive movie. So
Thank you.
the film focuses on the bomb, the process surrounding its creation, testing, and deployment. But there's a lot of ground to cover in Oppenheimer's life and work. How did you build the character and essence of Oppenheimer so that we could try to understand what's going on his head during the Manhattan Project?
For me, the process of trying to adapt Oppenheimer's story from the book American Prometheus into a cinematic experience was one of really looking at what are the significant events and actions of his life and how do they inform your assessment of his character. The approach I chose to take was one of subjectivity. I wanted to tell the story in the first person. I wrote the script in the first person, I presented it to Cillian that way, and I said, you're gonna have to open yourself to the audience and take the audience with you. Because what I'm looking for is a film and a telling of Oppenheimer's story that invites you to understand him, but not judge him. I think that he was presented with impossible ethical dilemmas. He made the choices he made under the circumstances he was presented with, and I want the audience to go through that with him. Done correctly, that's going to leave, I think, interesting and troubling questions at the end of that telling.
This is a national emergency.
Detonator charged.
And anyone could tell a movie genre just by hearing the music in it. In this film, music arouses many emotions of all kinds. It can be very beautiful in one moment and turn frightening instantly. What role did you want music to play in Oppenheimer?
I was working for the second time with Ludwig Göransson, who is one of the great film composers. I did not have preconceptions about how the music would work, but I involved him very early on, and I suggested to him that he might think of the violin as a basis for the music, because Oppenheimer's character, particularly at the beginning of his life, is extremely neurotic in his thinking, and there's tension in him that we felt that the violin could express. And for Ludwig, the process was one of discovery, of growing outwards from that initial idea, reading the script, looking at the images. You know, he would come to dailies and watch the tests we were doing about the representations of the quantum state, the hair and makeup tests, seeing the characters. And so Ludwig was writing music continually through the whole process of shooting the film. And then in editing, we would watch the film. We would edit all week, watch the film every Friday with whatever new music he wanted to try out. And that way we just gradually built the emotional life of the film out, you know, in a very organic way. It grew with the cut of the film.
The world will remember this day. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen.
And you shoot scenes in some of the real places the history was made of, like the grounds of Princeton University where Oppenheimer and Einstein worked together, or the home where the Oppenheimers had lived, Einstein's old office too. What was it like to recreate those scenes in those historical places?
It was wonderful to be able to go to some of the real places featured in the history. You have a great sense of responsibility for telling a real life story, and it gives you confidence and a feeling of connection with the history when you can have the actors walk in and tread the floorboards of Oppenheimer's real house at Los Alamos, so that Kitty and Robert are there. I think for the actors, they felt a connection there. I certainly felt very connected to the events. Going to Einstein's office at the Institute for Advanced Study, you feel part of history. You feel history speaking to you in a way that gives you confidence to make it accessible and immediate for today's audiences.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.